engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Faith on Film. Holly, how are you doing today?
Doing great today. Thank you. I'm excited about what we've got on the show today.
Yeah, you know what? Today we're going to talk about faith films, which is pretty appropriate because the show is called Faith on Film, right? We're going to be talking about a couple of movies. One that I saw, and I know you saw, that I thought was just an absolutely wonderful movie, and that is Cabrini, which I believe comes out in a couple of weeks. Just a really great true story. And of course, we're also going to be talking a little bit more again about The Chosen Season 4, because you went to see those first 3 episodes that came out in the theaters, and I know they were fantastic. So we're gonna hear from you about that a little bit. But also, you did an interview recently about a series. I believe it's season 2 of this series that's on PureFlix. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Going Home, and it's premiering season 2, so it's been on Great American PureFlix. And I had a chance to interview an actor who's been on a couple of shows, George Newborn. You'll recognize him from Adventures in Babysitting and Father of the Bride and movies like that. So he gave me a great interview about playing the role and what kind of story this really is, what kind of show this is that I think is going to encourage people. So let's take a look at the trailer.
All right.
Saying goodbye to a loved one is a beautiful, difficult thing. I do believe we will be together again.
At Sunset House, we care for the spiritual, emotional, and physical needs of our clients.
I appreciate everything you've done to support the kids in your unit. I really don't want to go in there.
The grieving process takes time, but you will be okay.
And this place is home.
Jack, no more surgeries.
Please, do not give up.
I'm not afraid to go home.
I couldn't have stayed in my home without him.
I love it when family takes care of each other.
He's not dating anyone.
Okay.
What about death frightens you?
The judgments.
What if God is waiting for you with open arms?
Charlene,
Hi, Mom. The doctors say
I'm not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good time.
your oncologist is George Strait.
I love Psalm 62:8.
Hey.
God wants us to pour out our hearts to him.
Lord,
I want to live big.
What a beautiful life.
yeah.
First of all, I read that you had the voice of Superman, so I love it that you've, played Superman, or the voice anyway, right? And
yes, ma'am. I've been doing the voice of Superman for, hello.
Oh, there you go.
I
love it. I love
it. He's on my shoulder.
Yes, your alter ego. So you played.
He's my alter ego.
You played Superman who saves people and a doctor who saves people. So I think you're
Exactly.
in good line here, in good company. This show, of course, it's about healing and forgiveness and faith and a lot of things. What does Dr. Jack do in this show? What is his role?
Well, he's a pediatric oncologist, and I mentioned earlier in an earlier interview that that line of work, they have a good success rate of actually healing people. It's a very high success rate, but as you get older, it's more difficult. So I think they've set him up in a situation where the irony is obviously his wife has cancer and he can't heal her, he can't save her. So that is the sort of the drama that he is, the sort of what he's up against. And his personality does not do well with that. He's a fixer, and most men are fixers. Most men try to fix things, and most women and or wives are much more were always smarter and more emotionally evolved, and don't want to be fixed. They want to be listened to, and they want to be, So I think this doctor is dealing with his marriage and his professional limitations. So he's up against it. And she's just saying, be with me. She's just saying, be here, be present. And she's good with it. And he's like, I don't want to just be here. I want to fix it. I want to fix it. So it's great. It was a good character. So it's a good character to play.
Good character and good storyline, because a lot of people are doing
very good.
The very thing, right? I mean, I've lost both parents, mother to cancer and father to a fall.
Same. Yeah.
And when you watch people, and sister, I've lost a sister to breast cancer. When you watch people with
goodness.
people, and they just want that time with
Right.
you. That's going to hit home. So I feel like this show, in so many ways, is going to hit home for so many people in a good way.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, initially I'd seen the premise of the show, and I was like, oh my, how are they going to do that? You know, and it's really tough. And oddly enough, those are the kind of shows, if you can thread the needle in these sort of odd setup, the premise of the show, that it's usually a home run. If you can get it, those are big wins, you know. And I think they do that here. I think that the show is really well done, and sort of the tone is just right, and the writing is good. It doesn't hit you over the head. And Cynthia's really sensitive. You know, the faith issues is. I've been a Christian my whole life, and I've had a lot of friends who are in sort of faith-based, you know, entertainment. And frankly, the quality has not been great. It just has not been that great. But people are so hungry for something positive, they overlook the quality of things. So just as art, for art's sake, that speaks, you know, to people. So, but this is a good example of faith and good art that works, you know. So that's all. I'm always happy to see that. No.
And because it's kind of dealing with some heavy things, is the show always heavy? Is it something people can watch and still have lighter moments? And
I think the show does a pretty good job of having a couple of light moments, kind of funny in spots, but it's real deep. nothing really. Everything very serious stuff going down, you know. So
yes, well, I mean, because it's with PureFlix being on there, and then Sony, it's faith and family entertainment. So I'm thinking, okay, for the audience, is it just going to be adults, or can older kids or teens watch it as well? Is it something a family?
I think older kids and teens watch it. You know what else? It just occurred to me. What I think is really important about this show, and especially in America and Western America, we don't talk about death. Death is so sanitized. You know, 40, 50, 60 years ago, they used to lay people out in the house and people come by and look at the body. People don't see dead bodies anymore. And this is a bad thing. I think we need to be in touch with our mortality, because then you really appreciate life, you know? It's people go, oh my gosh, that person died. Yeah, we're all going to die.
Right.
So I think that we have stigmatized it so much in our affluent, sanitized United States and West, that we don't appreciate life because we don't appreciate death. Honestly, is the way I feel about it.
I think you're so correct there, and also I know I experienced it with when my sister died of breast cancer, because she died at 58, and I'm like, this is too young, and she worked for a ministry who believed in miracles and healing.
Sure,
and I'm like, we had a lot of why God questions. Why God?
Right.
And I think no one talks about that. That's something people are uncomfortable questioning God. Well, he can take it.
Well, why not? The question is more not why, but why not? Why not you? Who says that you get out of this? Who says that I get out of this?
Right.
I mean, we won the lotto already. Why not? Why shouldn't you have pain? That's just what's so crazy. We think somehow, you raise children and they like, oh, this is going wrong and that's going wrong. Why is it not working out? It's like, well, it's not supposed to work out. Sometimes it works out, but this is not the way this is planned that way. Otherwise, what are we doing? There's got to be struggle. There's got to be something that you come up against so that you have, things have meaning.
Yes.
Meaning has meaning when you have something to work against. Otherwise, meaning has no meaning.
Right.
So,
what part of George is in Dr. Jack? What did you bring from yourself to your character?
My brother, as I said, is a surgeon, so I try to sort of channel him a little bit in the way he's sort of, professional when he needs to be, and he's sort of lighthearted the next, So it's about as far as I went with it.
Well, I know you're on a couple of the shows, and of course they have seasons. Is it a character that can be brought back? I mean, I don't know how they do that.
I don't know. I don't think the show's set up that way. I think once somebody passes, it kind of that storyline goes, unless,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, was this the first faith-based, you talked about faith-based entertainment. Was this the first one you worked on?
I did one other one, gosh, a long, long time ago. I think it was Connie Selleck that was in it. I played like a bit part. My friend produced it, so I just went out there for the day.
Yeah.
It was not good. Yeah.
Well, after you've been in Bitches and Babysitting and Father of the Bride, and you have a whole resume of shows and movies.
I've got a lot of weird, diverse things I've done. Yes,
a lot of great things. So I mean, after
Yeah.
that, again, it's kind of like, okay, but so I'm glad to hear you say that you felt this kind of raised the standard and came to a different level, because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is just so cheesy. You're like, talk about real,
I know.
play real characters, do real things, and this is
Do real things. Yeah.
Yeah, in this show,
Correct.
Right.
Right. And I think, and I also think, I've been a Christian for a long time, but, our Christian faith goes through seasons, and it's not, there's especially, I don't know how to say this, I feel like the American evangelical sort of version of Christianity sometimes can be too pat.
Yeah.
And I think that what I love about the mystics and the old mystics in the early Christian church, where's there room for mystery in our faith and the Holy Spirit and mystery? There is certainty. God forgives us, and there's life after death. I believe those are certain, but there's a lot of things in our faith that are mysterious, and we have to lean into that and not have it be so cut and dry all the time. There's just so much we don't know, and you have to have faith, and you have to let things breathe and have mystery. That's, as I've gotten older in my faith and in my life, I have to be not so rigid and not hold on to things that I think are supposed to be a certain way, and go, I'm going to let God work this out. I'm not in control here, man. I'm out. I don't want to say, well, the scripture says I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to say, hey, man, I don't know. I know it says this here, but also there's that. I understand. I see where you're coming from. I need to just back off the gas pedal here a little bit. I think as you get older, to back off a little bit.
What, did you grow up in the church, or did you?
No, well, my parents took us to my parents would drop us off at the Methodist church for Sunday school. They didn't go. They would just drop us off and pick us up. So I kind of, it's in the South, growing up in the South, Christianity is cultural and less.
That's true.
It's cultural. Everyone, if you said everyone's a Christian in the South, but not everybody goes to church. Well, but in California, if you go to church, you're generally, you're going to church.
Yeah.
But so my exposure to Christianity was through Young Life in high school. That's where I understood it and sort of became a Christian. But then as I've gotten older, I've got there's just a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues in the church today that I think that we have to kind of just not be so rigid about. That's just as I feel like I'm getting older. But
okay, I have to ask you, and I know it could be a long answer, but was it or is it kind of tough being a Christian in Hollywood? Because I was been a film critic for 30 years. I remember reviewing movies in the 90s when you didn't even say you were a Christian. You just didn't speak that in Hollywood. It got better after The Passion of the Christ and other films. But is it a climate or element where you don't really mention it or feel comfortable, or has it gotten better?
Well, I'll tell you this much. My faith is my faith, and I know a lot of great Christian folks out here who are working in the industry, but the current political climate, I think, has been poisoned and co-opted in a negative way by a very extreme element of the right. I'm just going to say it. We know what we're talking about. I think that has been co-opted, and it's co-opted my faith. So I certainly don't speak it. If I say it in Hollywood, they're like, "Oh, then you must." And I say, "No, I'm actually not that, but I am a Christian." So, to me, we have got to really double down on separating politics and faith, and because that's gotten mixed up, it's a losing proposition, and that is my biggest issue. I want my faith to be my faith, and I think if you get that out of the public, all that stuff is silly. Anyway, that's very upsetting to me. But so to answer your question, in Hollywood, especially now, I don't talk about it because I don't want to be branded a certain way, because I'm certainly not. I don't want that, because that's not me.
Right.
Whatever they're talking about, which is, I don't love it. So,
Well, look up Hollywood Prayer Network if you don't know about it, because Karen Cavell.
Hollywood what?
Hollywood Prayer Network. They pray for people in the industry, and executives, big people. Karen Cavell.
Right.
Connect with her.
I know Karen. I know Karen Cavell. I know these guys. I probably know all those folks that you know. Yeah, for sure.
Probably do.
They're great.
So, with a parting word about going home, and why should people watch Going Home, and how can we look for you and your character?
I'm in the first 2 episodes of Going Home, and check it out. I feel like it's very relevant to today, and especially with a lot of folks, as you get older and your parents are getting older, and we're all dealing with this hospice situation a lot now. And I think it's a comforting and a smart show that deals with a universal issue, which is getting older and dying, or sick and dying. And I think it's important for us to see it done the way they do it. So I think it's an excellent show.
And did Dan Merchant direct you?
He did.
Because
really good guy, really good director. Really enjoyed it.
I was wondering because he has such a diverse background.
Yeah. I don't know as much. Yeah, he's been doing it a long time, but he's really, I really think he's found a perfect tone on that show, and the crew loves him, and just a good guy, low key. No, I'm a big fan of no yelling on a set. There's no one raises their voices, and that is important because there's no reason to do that.
No,
that means you're not running your set well. You're not running the set well when that happens. So he's great.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Any other favorite moments? And we can then part any other favorite stories or something that happened while doing this show that was maybe one of your favorite scenes?
Nothing during this show. I mean, it was very just sort of a very chill environment. I loved being in Spokane, Washington. Gorgeous up there. People very lovely. It's nice to get out of LA. I love it. I had a great time.
George, we will have our audience pray for you and your career. And thank you.
Yes.
So much for
Thank you.
Thank
you, Holly. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. For all prayers appreciated, and back at you and all around. Thank you.
That was a great interview with George. I thought he was really, I loved it because he touched on so many different areas of the show and what it does. And of course, the lead actress and people, Cynthia Geary, who plays the main nurse, and so others. In fact, the one who plays the girl, Cozy, she was in Dolphins 1 and 2, who I interviewed her years ago. It's interesting to see her now in a Pure Flix film. But it's a good story. I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about death, really. So it's probably a good show for that, isn't it, Isaac?
Yeah, I was really caught off guard there by something that he said, but I completely agreed with it. And that was that he mentioned how we just don't want to deal with death anymore. Back in my day, and I know I do remember this in my own family, they literally sometimes when somebody would die, they would have the body there in your living room while all the family came by for sometimes even a good couple of days. And we just don't do that anymore. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's good for kids even to kind of experience what death is all about, because life, as Dave mentioned it, or George mentioned it, it does have an end. I mean, we will die at some point.
It does. And we didn't have the culture or religion, I guess, where you had the body in the room. Yeah. But I do remember going to the funeral home. The first death in my family was my uncle at 13. And it was, kind of traumatic. My grandmother, after that, she was cremated. So there was a memorial service for her. But to see my uncle in the coffin at the front of the church, because that was kind of the tradition for some churches, have it in the front, my cousin. But after that, kind of got to where people were being cremated. I know in my family, that's been the case with my grandmother, my parents. Both my parents have passed, they were cremated. So it's really more a memorial service, I guess, that we do nowadays, and maybe a celebration service, they sometimes call it. Maybe that's the way different people deal with it. I don't know.
Yeah. And it is cultural, because I know, like my mom, I want to be cremated. I actually want to be cremated, and I want to be dumped on the lake here where I live. I love the lake, and that's where I want. That's where I want to rest in peace. My mom, we've been telling her and my dad, they're up in age, and we said, we're thinking maybe we should cremate you, and she will not have that. She said no. And my dad is kind of like, yeah, you know what? And she's like, no, not for you either. Culturally, they want to have the body there, and then that, laid to rest in a burial.
It probably is a cultural thing, apparently, and maybe more the old school, because these days I think people just are going for the memorial service thing. Well, it's an interesting show, folks. So tune in; you'll learn a lot, and I think you'll relate a lot with a lot of the stories of people with cancer, and you probably had it in your own family, your own home. So, but it's not all heavy and depressing. There's some lighter moments, like George said, and it's really good as well. Now, something that we're going to talk about, I'm so excited, because there's a movie coming out called Cabrini. And it is, first of all, it was done by a friend of Isaac and I. We've had on the show, Alejandro Monteverde, who did The Sound of Freedom. And so he's a director for this. And Isaac's going to tell you too, it is the most beautifully filmed, well done movie about a true story about a woman who's now the saint. She was a mother in the Catholic Church in Italy, and about how she first came to America when people weren't so friendly for the people coming over from other countries. They had nicknames that weren't so nice for the Irish and the Italian and Jews and others. And it really deals with what she went through to help the poor. Isaac, what did you think about the movie?
I was blown away. It just was, first of all, I love true stories. And this was something that I had never heard about. I had never heard of Cabrini. And just to see her and what she accomplished was unbelievable. I mean, she raised hospitals all over the world.
all over the world. She was a missionary to the world. And she fought against men who at that time were not even acknowledging women.
Exactly.
Yeah, we didn't have a voice in the church or business. I mean, either place. And she fought that. And, we're telling you all this so that when you watch the trailer, which we're going to show you, look at the scenes, look at how it was filmed, look at it's just a beautifully done, like paintings in a movie. I'm excited for people to see this. So what they didn't include in the trailer was their response to him, something to the effect of, when he said, "You'd made a great man," she said, "No, because only a woman could do what I've done." Because it's true. Only a woman could do what she did. Folks, this is put out by Angel Studios. It's another one of the wonderful Angel productions, and they're distributing it. It stars Christiana Delana, and she is the one who plays amazingly Cabrini. John Lithgow, if you'll notice, you heard his voice. It's unmistakable. He has played the mayor. And then David Morse plays the priest.
The priest.
I think it's over. What is he a priest? The one that's over? I'm not Catholic. I don't know. The one that was over the diocese or whatever.
Yeah, he's something. I think I don't know. He's something big in the Catholic Church.
Okay. Well, he was at the time something big in the Catholic. I'm sorry, folks. It's my ignorance, but you know what? You recognize David Morris. We used to be in ER. I mean, years ago he started off. He's been in World War III. He's been in a bunch of movies. So. So they had some, notable names in there, but again, so beautifully done, such a powerful story. We cannot encourage you enough to see this movie. And yes, at the very beginning, it's a lot of Italian because they're in Italy. But don't worry, and there's subtitles, but don't worry. Then they transcend to American. She says, now we need to speak American. So I'm just saying, bear with it, because I had someone say, well, it kind of has a lot of subtitles, and I didn't want to sit through the whole thing. No. It gets into English where you can understand that. But I love that. I love subtitle movies.
And in the very near future, we're going to try to get one of them actors or maybe the director, Alejandro, to come on the show and tell us a little bit more about the movie and maybe some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So we're working on that.
We'll keep you updated, but it's coming out the end of February. Yeah. Now, next, I got a chance to go see The Chosen Season 4.
Yes, you did.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to tell you, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes. But they give you an intermission. So they give you a 5-minute intermission. So hang on, hold your popcorn. You get a chance to take a break. But you know what? It went so fast, Isaac, I just wanted it to continue. I wanted it to keep going. I'm like, no, keep it going. It is powerful storytelling, definitely a shift in the fact that now the heat is coming on the disciples and on Jesus and on and really on the town, the Capernaum and the whole area. It's coming pressure now, for them to because they're getting pressure from Rome for money and taxes. And then of course John the Baptist, we know that's his story, and that story happens. And I'm not surprising anybody, I'm not spoiling anybody, because it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. There is a surprise at the end of episode 3. I will tell you to bring your tissues and make sure you have napkins or tissues with you. I heard that ahead of time, and I still needed them. There's several lighthearted, funny moments, funny comments, and then sweet and tender moments. I just love this show, and with every season it gets better. And they talk about the wedding and the old wedding feast, the feast where the bride and the groom could actually ask each other if they would accept each other, and if the bride accepts, then the groom gives her a present. Then they're betrothed for a year and they don't see each other really, or they're betrothed, and then they get married. And that's the old custom. And folks, that is the whole lanterns, the virgins and their lamps and the oil. That's from that story. That story is based on that custom. So it's about Jesus coming back for his bride. So it meant so much to me to see that in the movie and see it played out with a couple of the characters. Yeah. It is so good. It is so good. It just reminded me, because we hear Simon called a different name, Peter, and so he gives the whole thing. When he said the gates of hell, that was called that area was called that, which makes so much sense now that the scripture said even the gates of hell can't stand against. And he was referring to that religion. There's so much you'll get. I just love it. I love what Dallas Jenkins is doing with the show. We cannot encourage everyone enough. And you know what? I love it in the big theater, Isaac. Amazingly different on the big screen.
So get out there. I think that you can't watch the episodes 1 through 3 anymore because they only do it for a weekend. But get out there and watch the others. And nonetheless, when it's past it, it's going to come out as streaming. So make sure and watch it. If you didn't get to see it in theaters, make sure and watch it. Well, Holly, we've run out of time.
It was a great show. I loved all the things we talked about. Go see everything, folks. Go see it.
Bye-bye now.
write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.